Welcome to Important Updates, your trusted source for breaking headlines, global insights, and sharp analysis from around the world. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an update. Exposing the forgotten heart of Europe's industry. What really happened to the Smederevo steelworks, and why did China see hope where others saw only ruin? For 14 long years, the Smederevo steelworks in Serbia stood silent, a ghostly monument on the banks of the Danube River. Once a symbol of progress and prosperity, the factory became a haunting reminder of better days gone by, its vast structures looming over the town like a sleeping giant. Its blast furnaces, which had once roared with life and powered the city's economy, were now cold and lifeless. The rhythmic hum of machinery was replaced by an eerie stillness, as if time itself had stopped within these walls. Production halls that once bustled with thousands of workers now echoed only with emptiness. Dust settled on forgotten tools, and the air was thick with memories of labor and laughter that had faded away. Weeds and pigeons claimed the ruins, nature slowly reclaiming what industry had built. For the people of Smederevo, the factory's decay was more than just physical. It was a wound to their pride and a daily reminder of lost jobs, lost purpose, and a community left adrift. The factory's silence spoke volumes about hardship. It told the story of a generation left without purpose, of families struggling to get by, and of dreams put on hold. Young people, seeing no future, packed their bags and left for distant cities or foreign lands. Storefronts shuttered one by one, and the once lively main street grew quiet. The town's spirit, once vibrant, seemed to fade with every passing year. Once a proud symbol of national strength and unity, the steelworks now embodied decline, a story all too familiar across Europe's old industrial heartlands, where factories that built nations now stand as relics of a bygone era. But what if that silence could be broken? What if the giant could awaken once more? Why did Europe allow this titan to fall into slumber? And what did China see in its rusted bones that others missed? These questions lingered in the air, hinting at a new chapter yet to be written. This is not just a story of economics and industry. It is a story of people, of hope, resilience, and the shifting balance of power in a globalized world. It is about families, communities, and the dreams that refuse to die. To truly understand the awakening of this sleeping giant, we must look back at what the factory meant to Serbia. It was more than steel and smoke. It was identity, pride, and the promise of a better future. Its closure cut deep, leaving scars that would take years to heal. The journey from the Balkans to Beijing reveals how one country's loss became another's opportunity. In the ruins of Smederevo, a new story began to unfold, one that would connect East and West, past and future, in ways no one could have predicted. Smederevo Steelworks was once Yugoslavia's pride, a symbol of the nation's industrial ambition and unity. Built in the post-war era, it stood as a testament to the country's drive for modernization and self-sufficiency. At its peak, the factory employed thousands, providing stable jobs and powering the entire region's economy. Generations of families depended on its success, and the city of Smederevo thrived around its smokestacks. But the breakup of Yugoslavia in the 1990s, followed by years of conflict and economic turmoil, left the factory struggling to survive. Production slowed, maintenance was neglected, and the once bustling plant began to decay. In 2003, desperate for a lifeline, Serbia sold the plant to US Steel for just $23 million, a fraction of its former value, but a glimmer of hope for revival. For a few years, the American dream seemed to breathe new life into Smederevo. Modernization efforts began, and optimism returned to the workforce. But then came the 2008 global financial crisis. Steel demand collapsed almost overnight, and the factory's aging infrastructure became a heavy financial burden. The plant, already struggling with outdated equipment, now faced mounting losses. It was clear that without massive investment, survival was unlikely. By 2012, US Steel decided to cut its losses, selling the plant back to the Serbian government for a symbolic $1, an act that underscored the depth of the crisis. Across Europe, the story was much the same. Old steel plants were closing, not reopening. The industry was shrinking, and no one was looking to buy aging factories. Smederevo was now seen as a relic of a bygone era, requiring massive investment just to stay afloat, let alone compete globally. European companies, facing their own challenges, saw only risk and cost. No one wanted to take on the burden of reviving the plant. For Western investors and governments, it was easier and cheaper to let the factory fade into history than to attempt a costly rescue. Smederevo became a powerful symbol of industrial decline, lost opportunity, and the human cost of economic transition. The city's future hung in the balance. The question remained, who, if anyone, would dare to take the risk and try to revive this sleeping giant? The answer would come from far beyond Europe's borders. Enter China, ready to rewrite the story of Smederevo and perhaps the future of European industry itself. While Europe saw a lost cause, China's Hesteel Group saw potential. For Hesteel, Smederevo was a strategic gateway into Europe, a chance to bypass trade barriers and expand under the Belt and Road Initiative. China's domestic steel overcapacity pushed its companies to invest abroad. Hesteel brought technology, management, and crucially, capital. The plant's location, skilled workforce, and infrastructure made it a calculated risk worth taking. As a state-backed giant, Hesteel could afford a long-term view. The 2016 deal, €46 million, was more than a business move. It was geopolitical. For Smederevo, it was a lifeline after years of uncertainty. The Chinese weren't just buying a factory, they were betting they could succeed where others failed. The town's hope was rekindled, but the challenge was immense. Could the dragon truly breathe fire into the sleeping giant? Hesteel's first task was daunting: revive a factory left in decay. Cleanup crews, many former workers, cleared debris and assessed machinery. Chinese engineers joined Serbian veterans to repair and modernize decades-old equipment. Spare parts were scarce. Some had to be fabricated from scratch. The goal, not just restart, but improve safety and efficiency. Hesteel promised to retain all 5,000 employees, winning local trust. Retired experts returned as consultants, bringing invaluable experience. For many, it was an emotional homecoming. After months of work, the moment arrived. The blast furnaces were relit. White smoke rose, signaling rebirth to the entire town. Cheers erupted. The silence was finally broken. The giant was awake, but the real work was just beginning. Smederevo's future was once again tied to the roar of steel. Reviving Smederevo meant merging Chinese management with Serbian tradition, a recipe for culture clash. Chinese managers pushed for efficiency and discipline. Serbian workers valued labor rights and work-life balance. Misunderstandings over hours, safety, and communication were common. Language barriers complicated daily operations, but both sides knew success depended on cooperation. Hesteel adapted, respecting unions and investing in translation and local managers. Social events and shared goals fostered unity. Over time, a hybrid culture emerged, combining Serbian skill with Chinese drive, forging a new path to success. To truly grasp the impact of the factory's journey, you have to listen to those who lived through every moment, the workers whose lives were shaped by the rise, fall, and rebirth of this steel giant. Dragan, a veteran engineer with decades of experience, remembers the closure as more than just the loss of a job. For him, it was a personal tragedy. His hard-earned skills suddenly had nowhere to go, and the sense of purpose he'd built over a lifetime seemed to vanish overnight. The silence of the factory echoed in his heart. When the factory reopened, it felt like a true rebirth for the entire community. The gates opened not just to work but to restore dignity, pride, and a renewed sense of belonging. For many, it was a chance to reclaim their identity. Melissa, a young quality control worker, returned to her hometown for this new opportunity. For her generation, the factory's revival meant more than employment. It meant a reason to stay, to build a future, and to believe that their dreams could be realized at home. Mr. Wang, a Hesteel manager from China, acknowledges the challenges of merging different cultures and work styles. Yet, he's quick to praise the Serbian workers' deep pride in their craft and their remarkable expertise, which impressed the entire management team. The Chinese investment brought not only much-needed capital, but also advanced systems, new technology, and a fresh perspective on efficiency and growth. The Serbian workers, in turn, contributed their heart, resilience, and generations of know-how, skills passed down through families, forged in the heat of the furnaces. Together, these teams built more than just steel. They rebuilt lives, restored hope, and created a new sense of unity and shared purpose. The revival of the factory is not just an economic story, it's deeply personal. For many families it means stability, pride, and the chance to dream again. Now, families can plan for the future with confidence. Young people see hope and opportunity where there was once only uncertainty. The entire community feels the change. The factory's revival has helped Smederevo regain its identity, bringing people together and restoring a sense of belonging. Smederevo's story is one of transformation, not just recovery. It's about resilience, adaptation, and the power of working together across cultures. The return of the steelworks meant the return of hope, optimism, and the promise of a brighter tomorrow. For thousands of people, it was more than just a job. It was a second chance at life, and a reason to believe in the future once again. The factory's revival sent shockwaves through Smederevo. Steady paychecks revived local businesses, cafes, and shops. The housing market rebounded as optimism returned. Suppliers and service companies flourished alongside the plant. The city's tax base grew, funding better roads, schools, and parks. The factory's success created a virtuous cycle of growth. The psychological impact was just as profound. Pride and identity returned. Smederevo was no longer a symbol of decline, but of renewal. The story became a point of national pride for Serbia. The sleeping giant's awakening lifted an entire community. Smederevo's revival is part of a global trend, China's Belt and Road Initiative reshaping Europe. Chinese companies invest where Western ones hesitate, taking on risky projects like old steel mills. The flow of capital is reversing. China now exports investment and expertise. For countries like Serbia, it's a lifeline. For Western Europe, it raises questions about influence and competition. The Smederevo story is a microcosm of this new reality. Chinese investment brings hope and jobs, but also strategic concerns. The dual nature of this trend, opportunity and apprehension, defines Europe's new industrial landscape. Smederevo stands at the crossroads of local triumph and global change. Smederevo's rebirth offers a glimpse of global industry's future. It challenges the idea of inevitable decline, showing old industries can thrive with new investment and vision. Europe must decide how to engage with China, threat or opportunity. The story highlights the need for a balanced strategy, welcoming investment, upholding standards. For China, Smederevo is a showcase of partnership and soft power. The project's success will inspire more cross-border ventures. Ultimately, the factory's roar signals a new era, one of interdependence, not rivalry. The future will be built by nations working together in unexpected ways.